Happy returns from 4th of July weekend. I took a digital break for the most part, which was wonderful. Um, I did watch some movies though, and so the theme for today is actually based on a really cool movie that I saw. It's called Pressure. I think it just came out, and it's about the 3 days leading up to the D-Day invasion in Normandy back in 1944, and the role that weather forecasting played in that. Right, you can imagine all these ships and people on landing crafts and all the just the insanity of the logistics that was that whole situation was very weather dependent. And it was the story of this Scottish meteorologist who was put in charge of, well, giving the Allies weather forecasts. And yeah, I mean, pressure is a really good term for it, right? Like knowing full well that, boy, if you don't get this weather forecast right, we might not even end up on those beaches. People will drown, and it's just the whole thing is just gonna, collapse and not work out. And certainly back then, weather forecasting was a pretty analog kind of thing, right? There was no satellites. There was no, they were sending up weather balloons trying to figure out the barometric pressure of what this storm was going to do or that one. And yeah, just so a really amazing story that I didn't know about. But as I was watching it, I just kept thinking about this sort of this tension that we all experience on a daily level, which is this idea of gut feeling versus data. And he was there was a lot of people that were challenging him on his forecasts, and he kept asking them, well, where's the data? What are you basing this on? And it was like, well, back in, 10, 15 years ago, we had a similar, weather system come in and it all worked out fine. He was like, that has nothing to do with right now. Like, what does the data actually tell you? And then came the kicker for me, which was, well, what's the data telling you? And his best answer was like, I don't know. Like, can you be sure it's going to be this way or that way? I was like, I don't actually know. Right. And I think we all live on a day-to-day basis. This is like a struggle we have. You meet someone, you get this weird gut feeling, and you're like, I probably shouldn't interact with them. Probably smart to pay attention to that. And then other times we maybe meet someone or in a situation and we have that same gut feeling, but you kind of look at it and say, well, it's not really justified. It's like if you actually look at the data of your interactions or whatever, you might come to a very different conclusion. So anyway, I thought it'd be good to spend some time exploring how that, sort of how our mind and our body processes situations like that. So let's see where it goes. So close your eyes. Take a couple minutes to land. Let's notice whatever object you're sitting on, be it your car seat or your couch, your kitchen table. Just notice being supported by the chair, solidity of the ground. See if you can sort of melt into it. Just melt into the sense of groundedness. The body's always in contact with the ground. And you would think that the mind is as well, but it's not. Oftentimes the mind is flitting about in sort of an ungrounded, disconnected way. It's not a problem. It's what the mind is supposed to do. But right now, it's really just about noticing what it's like to be settled and grounded. Notice the body breathing. The heart knows exactly what to do, as do the lungs. The whole body is just doing its thing. And the mind is doing its thing as well. It's probably time traveling, so thinking about the past, anticipating the future, That's exactly what it's supposed to do. The brain thinks, the heart beats and pumps blood, the lungs breathe. And then bring to mind a situation that felt difficult, something that felt challenging. On a scale from 1 to 10, don't pick a 10. Just see if you can find like a 5 or a 6. And notice that situation. What's it feel like in the body? Is there an adrenaline rush, rapid heart rate? Was the mind telling you about the situation? All the different scenarios that were coming up about why this was a problem or why this was felt threatening. And see if you can become aware of what your gut was telling you about the situation or this person or people, maybe if there were others involved. We call it a gut feeling because we usually feel some sense of dis-ease in the belly or the chest. See if you can make space for noticing what the gut was telling you about the situation. And then swinging the pendulum into the other end of this continuum. See if you can explore, well, what was the data? What were the facts as best as you knew about the situation? So letting go of sort of amorphous, ambivalent feelings, but really just using the prefrontal cortex and saying, okay, hold on a sec. What's actually going on here? Where's the proof for this thought about being in danger or things not being okay? How do I know? Is there any sort of historical evidence for thoughts that I'm having right now? Are there if then scenarios I can play out? As you think about this experience, and I'm not suggesting that one system is better than the other. It's really just about becoming aware of the fact that we're typically subject to these two very different sort of systems that function using very different rules. One is this intuitive gut feeling, and then the other one is this more data driven, well, let me think this through, all the if thens. And just noticing how different they feel. Do you have a sense of what your go-to system is? I know some people that are very analytical, and then others that are much more inclined to be intuitive. So the goal here is just to become aware that there are these two systems that oftentimes clash. They're both really useful. Does exploring this situation in this way, if you could do it over again, is there something that you would change? Would you do exactly the same thing that you did, but now with more confidence? I'll give you sort of one more anecdote that I think might help clarify where I'm going with this. So my wife and I were talking about skydiving. I used to skydive, and she had a really visceral reaction when I said, "Hey, would you ever want to do that with me?" And she said, "Oh no, that's really dangerous. I don't want to die." And I totally get it. Jumping out of an airplane at 13,000 feet, like, why would you do that? What's the point? It seems really dangerous. But then if you look at the actual statistics on, number of jumps last year, number of deaths, it's actually significantly safer than driving in your car on the highway to that jump site by a factor of like 20 or 25. And again, so there's this visceral gut reaction of like, oh, that sounds like a terribly dangerous thing to do. But we completely ignore the fact that actually, statistically, you're much more likely to die or get injured getting in your car and driving to the place where you're going to do this thing that seems really dangerous. Anyway, so it's an interesting conversation, right? Just to sort of flex these two different systems that we have and see if or how they influence our decision making as we go through life. Take a deep breath in. Long, slow exhale through the mouth. We're going to hold the out breath for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In and out. Relaxing the neck, shoulders, the hands. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Open your eyes. Come on back. We're out of time. Yeah, hope that's it. Hope that's a useful framework just to bump into, and maybe throughout the rest of your day, see if or when those strong gut feelings start clashing with your sort of more cognitive side, and just see what happens if you give both some space and time to figure out what to do next. So hope that was helpful, and hope to see you tomorrow, everyone. Be well.